Hello and welcome to another in my Human Resource Management series. And in this discussion, we will be discussing the important role of benefits as part of employee compensation. We will look at some of the contents of an employee benefits package and the way organizations administer employee benefits. Providing employee benefits is a critical element of an organization that is both expensive and necessary to attract and retain our high-level employees while keeping them motivated. Employees expect at least a minimum level of benefits, and providing more than the minimum helps an organization compete in our very competitive labor market. As I just mentioned, benefits are a significant expense, but employers provide benefits because employees value them, and many benefits are simply required by law. Let's discuss the importance of benefits as a part of employee compensation. Employee benefits are essentially compensation in forms other than cash. As a part of the total compensation paid to our employees, benefits serve functions similar to pay. Different employees look for different types of benefits. Employers need to examine their benefits package regularly to see whether they meet the needs of today's employees. At the same time, benefit packages are more complex than pay structures, so benefits are harder for employees to understand and appreciate what they're given by their employers. Even if employers spend large sums on benefits, because as I've said in other lectures, benefits impose a very significant cost to an organization. If our employees do not understand how to use their benefits or why they are valuable, the cost of the benefits will be largely wasted away. As I mentioned, some benefits are required by law. The federal and state governments require various forms of social insurance to protect workers from the financial hardships of being out of work. Here you can see some of those legally required benefits. Social Security covers over 90% of U.S. employees. The main exceptions are railroad and federal, state, and local government employees who often have their own plans. Let's dive into these benefits a little bit more than just the summaries I've provided here. Let's first start with Social Security. Employers and employees share the costs through a payroll tax to provide the following benefit in the federal Old Age Survivors Disability and Health Insurance Program, or you might just see it listed as OASDHI. This combines the old age, the retirement insurance, the survivors insurance, the disability insurance, hospital insurance, which is known as medical or Medicare Part A, and supplementary medical insurance known as Medicare Part B for the elderly. This is all wrapped up in one. In 1935, the Federal Social Security Act established old age insurance and unemployment insurance. Congress later amended that act to add a survivor's insurance there in around 1939. It also added disability insurance in 1956, hospital insurance, or what's known as Medicare Part A, in 1965, and supplementary medical insurance known as Medicare Part B, also in 1965. And this was done for the elderly, is why we had that supplemental medical insurance. Together, the law and its amendments created what is now the Old Age Survivors Disability and Health Insurance Program, which is informally known to everybody as just Social Security. Along with the OASDHI, the Social Security Act of 1935 established a program of unemployment insurance. Technically, the federal government left it to each state's discretion to establish an unemployment insurance program. At the same time, the Social Security Act created a tax incentive structure that quickly led every state to establish the program. Unemployment insurance is a federally mandated program to minimize the hardships of unemployment through payments to unemployed workers, help in finding new jobs, and incentives to stabilize employment. Most funding comes from taxes on employers. The size of employment tax imposed on the employer depends on what's known as the employer's experience rating. Good human resource planning can help keep experience rating favorable for that organization. Now, to receive these unemployment benefits, workers must meet 4 different conditions. They can demonstrate that they were employed. They have to be available for work. They also need to be actively seeking out work, and that they were not discharged for a cause. They didn't quit voluntarily, and they're not out of work because of some form of a labor dispute. Now, workers who meet these conditions receive benefits at the level that's set by the individual states. Typically, it's about half of the person's previous earnings for a period of about 26 weeks. All states have minimum and maximum weekly benefit levels, so you need to make sure that you research your state's rules for these. Now let's talk about worker compensation some more. These are state programs that provide benefits to workers who suffer work-related injuries or illnesses, or even on to their survivors. We operate under principle of the no-fault liability. Employee does not need to show that the employer was grossly negligent in order to receive their compensation, and the employer is also protected from lawsuits. Generally, 2/3 of workers' earnings and taxes is what's going to be paid in workers' compensation, and it's tax-free. Now, there are 4 major categories of benefits here. We have disability income, medical care, death benefits, and rehabilitation benefits. The cost is going to be influenced by the kind of occupation that was involved, the state where that company where the person worked at is located, and once again, that employer's experience rating. The cost of workers' compensation is borne by the employer. The state differs in terms of how they fund workers' compensation insurance. Some states have a single state fund. Most of the states, though, allow employers to purchase coverage from private insurance companies. Most also permit some self-funding by the employers. Organizations can minimize the cost of this benefit by keeping the workplace safe and making employees and their managers conscious of safety issues. Now, prior to workers' compensation laws, employees who suffered work-related injury or illness had to bear the cost unless they won a lawsuit against their employer. Those who sued often lost the case because of the defenses available to the employers. Employees are not eligible if their injuries are self-inflicted, or if they result from intoxication or willful disregard of the safety rules in place. Now we'll talk about another one of those benefits, the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA. This is a federal law requiring organizations with 50 or more employees to provide up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave after childbirth or adoption, to care for seriously ill family members, or for an employee's own serious illness, or even to take care of urgent needs that arise when your spouse, child, or parent, such as if they're in the National Guard or Reserve, are called to active duty. As I said, organizations with 50 or more employees must provide up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave. One of those other things you should definitely know is that you must comply with the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, so make sure you're very familiarized with that. And if you go into an organization, if you're in charge of an HR department, make sure everyone is aware of the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. Another part of FMLA is that after a person is on leave, they should have the same or a comparable job that's guaranteed to them upon that employee's return. Let's talk now about the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Most people just know it as the Affordable Care Act. This is a health care reform law that was passed in 2010 that includes incentives and penalties for employers providing health insurance as a benefit. Employers not required by law to provide health care. Those who choose not to must pay a penalty. The choices depend on the number of full-time employees by the organization. Now, small businesses can buy insurance from SHOP. This is the Small Business Health Options Program, and it's for those small employers who want to provide health and or dental insurance to their employees for affordability, flexibility, and convenience. To purchase the SHOP insurance, your business or nonprofit organization generally must have less than or equal to 50, so 1 to 50 employees, you're eligible. If you're eligible, you don't have to wait for an open enrollment period. You can start offering SHOP coverage to your employees any time of the year. When it comes to the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, the law is complex and changing. HR professionals must continue to educate themselves on these somewhat agile requirements. Now let's talk about some optional employee benefits. First one I'll mention is paid leave. There are some major categories when it comes to paid leave, such as vacations, holidays, sick leave. You must also account for other situations like jury and military duty. When it comes to sick leave or paid leave, this can include personal days, floating holidays, and paid time off options, or PTO. These are also going to include in things like paid holidays and vacation days when applicable. We also have as an optional employee benefit group insurance. For the average person, the most important benefit by far is that of medical insurance. Although few employees fully appreciate what health insurance costs the employer, most value this benefit and look for it when they're contemplating a job offer to an organization. With medical insurance, about 70% of all full-time employees here in the U.S. receive some type of medical benefits package. These policies typically are going to cover things like hospital expenses, surgical expenses, and just general visits to their physicians. Now, additional coverage can include things like dental care, vision care, even mental health care, or prescription drug programs. There's another one I want to talk about, and that's COBRA, or Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. This is a federal law that requires employers to permit employees or their dependents to extend their health insurance coverage at group rates for up to 36 months following a qualifying event such as a layoff or a reduction in hours or the employee's death. Qualifying events include termination, except for when there's gross misconduct. As I said, a reduction in hours that leads to the loss of that health insurance, or in case that employee's death, in which that case the surviving spouse or dependent child or children would extend that coverage. Now, to extend the coverage, the employer, the surviving spouse or dependent, must pay for the insurance, but the payments are at the group rate. These employees and their families must have access to the same services as those who did not lose their health insurance. Now, if you ever talk to someone about COBRA, they'll tell you it is very expensive because of that group rate. All right, so another optional benefit would be a flexible spending account. These are employee-controlled pre-tax earnings that are set aside to pay for certain eligible expenses, such as healthcare expenses during that same year. Another optional benefit would be the employee wellness programs. These are growing more popular to help offset the costs of insurance and keeping our employees healthier. The employee wellness program is just a set of communications, activities, and facilities that are designed to change health-related behaviors of employees in ways, as I said, that will reduce health risks, which will then in turn reduce overall health costs. Another employee benefit you might see is that of life insurance. Employers may provide life insurance or offer the opportunity to buy coverage at low group rates. Term life insurance, you might have heard this term. If an employee dies during the term of the policy, beneficiaries receive a death benefit payment. You might actually come across disability insurance as well. Employees risk losing their incomes if a disability makes them unable to be able to perform their work functions. Disability insurance provides protection against the loss of income. Disability payments are a percentage of the employee's salary, typically going to be around 50 to 70%. Social Security includes some long-term disability benefits. Now, to manage benefit costs, the employer should ensure that the disability insurance is coordinated with Social Security and any other programs that help any workers who unfortunately become disabled. All right, so another employee benefit that a lot of people look forward to is if the organization has retirement plans. About half of the employees working for private businesses, those that are non-government, have employer-sponsored retirement plans. So this is just one of those things that we look for because it allows money to get set aside that typically employees wouldn't be disciplined enough to do themselves. And then employers make a annual contribution of a certain amount, or a per pay period distribution, and then employees can contribute as well, and there's usually a match that gets made, and this allows employees to start planning for supplemental income to their Social Security when it comes time to retire. So there are different types of retirement plans that you could come across. Another employee benefit I wanted to bring up would be that of the cash balance plan. This is where the employer sets up an account for each employee and contributes a certain percentage of the employee's salary into that cash balance plan for when they need to cover some expenses. Now, even some additional kind of non-traditional employee benefits that we can look at are listed here. Now, the scope of possible employee benefits is really just limited by the imagination of the organization's decision makers. Organizations have developed a wide variety of benefits to meet the needs of employees and to attract and keep the kinds of workers who will be of value to an organization. You might see things as like, having a cafeteria on premise, or even a subsidized cafeteria to where you have options and they may be at the cost of the employee, or there may be a certain dollar amount that you can use in these cafeterias, but just having those cafeterias on site is a great benefit. You might even come across an organization that has on-site healthcare services. I worked for an organization where we had our own hospital that only the employees of the organization were eligible to go to. And you could also have a fitness center on site or access to one. Maybe an organization will even offer to do dry cleaning of employee uniforms or even personal clothes that are used by the employee, in the organization. You could have moving and relocation costs as an employee benefit to help attract employees. There could be employee discounts that are offered. As an employee, there may be certain parts in that city that the organization resides that offers discounts to the employees of that company. A big one that has kind of started to go away is that of tuition reimbursement, but it's always important to ask if your employer has tuition reimbursement. You may have to pay for the cost for the course up front, and then once you get your grades, you submit that to your employer and you get that money back. So essentially you pay for that first class, and then you would get paid back after the end of that course, if you meet the requirements, and then be able to take that money and just keep investing in your tuition as you go through school. There could be dues for different professional organizations that you're members of that could get covered by your organization. You could have off-site company recreation activities like paying for you to go to the movies or to an amusement park, and you and your family. There's lots of different employee benefits that could be created. One of the more recent ones that we've seen is where employers are allowing individuals to bring their pets to work to add a sense of comfort and belonging in that organization. Although the government requires certain benefits, employers have a wide latitude in creating the total benefits package that they want to offer their employees. Employees have come to expect certain things from their employers. If employees believe their employer feels no commitment to their welfare, they are less likely to feel committed to that employer. When it comes to the organization's objectives, decisions about benefits should take into account things like the organizational goals, their objectives, and of course their budget. There should also be expectations of current employees and prospective recruits when they're thinking about which benefits to offer. An organization that does not offer those expected benefits will have great difficulty in attracting and keeping employees. The choice of benefits may influence current employees' satisfaction and may also affect the organization's ability to recruit new employees in terms of both the ease of recruiting and the kinds of employees that are attracted to the organization. You may see or even offer, when you get into an organization, a cafeteria style plan. This is a benefits plan that offers employees a set of alternatives from which they can choose the types and amounts of benefits they want. This is becoming growingly popular. You have the choice. Do you think you need this much coverage, or could you take less and then spend less? The cafeteria style plans have a number of advantages. The selection process can make employees more aware of the value of their benefits. When it comes to these cafeteria style plans, we can see that they also are particular when the plan assigns each employee a sum of money to allocate to their benefits. So I know I have this much money. How do I want to spread that out over which benefits? The individual choice in a cafeteria plan enables each employee to match his or her needs to the company's benefits. This is going to increase the plan's actual value to that particular employee. Because employees would not select benefits they don't want, the company avoids the cost of providing employees with benefits that they don't value. A drawback, though, when it comes to the cafeteria style plan is that they have a higher administrative cost, especially in the design and startup stages. Organizations can avoid some of the higher costs, however, by using software packages and standardized plans that have been developed for employers wishing to offer cafeteria style benefits. With the cost of health care continuing to soar, employers are trying to help employees stay healthy and use their benefits efficiently. There's also an attempt to shift more of the cost to the employees and learn which providers and treatments deliver the best value as some approaches to saving the organization money. Communicating the nature and the value of benefits to employees is essential. Employees must be given information about their benefits. This is necessary to attract, motivate, and retain the talent you have in your organization. It is difficult for employees and applicants to understand the value of benefits, so companies must help with effective communication. Employers can use a wide variety of media to communicate the benefits that are available within their organization to their valuable employees. Now, in this discussion, we described the contents of an employee benefits package and the way that organizations administer their employee benefits. The important role of benefits as a part of employee compensation. Major types of employee benefits: benefits that are required by law, such as paid leave. We talked about insurance policies, retirement plans, and other benefits, and how to choose which of these alternatives to include in your employee benefits package so that it contributes to meeting the organization's goals. Regulating affecting how employees design and administer their benefits programs, and why and how allowing our employees to have choices so that we can find out what's valuable to them is very effective and essential in not only attracting employees but keeping our very valuable employees, to keep our organization as a high valued, very effective, very efficient organization. In regards to communication, it's not just important when it comes to employee benefits, but the communication aspect is an important part of effective human resource management. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.